Well, let's see. I think one of the big things we're starting to see from a lot of the different standard-setting organizations and code-setting bodies is to look more holistically at both products and and the services and just generally more holistic thinking about products and where the water is being used and how it's being used. There's a big push now from a lot of environmental groups to have life cycle analysis of products so that you would look at the product from its whole life cycle. And one of the things they would like us to do in terms of WaterSense is to start looking at even the production, the manufacturing, the resources that are used in products, and looking at those and at least assessing what the level of pollutants or environmental impacts are in all of those products. Whereas with WaterSense, we just basically look at just the water use of the product as it's used by the consumer. The other thing that we also are working with is we work with a lot of we used to sit on the lead rating system panel. We work with with IAPMO and with the ICC on some of the green code that are coming out now. And there's a lot of push for more holistic looking at water uses in the facility itself. So not just looking at the efficiency of the system of a particular product, but looking at the design of the system, of all the systems that go into the building, looking at the efficiency of the individual products, and then looking at all the water uses as it comes in and out as the water flows in and out of the site. So looking at all the alternative sources, sources beyond just potable water from a utility, and making sure that we're managing effectively all of those water sources. So since WaterSense is fairly new, we basically are still working in the one area of product performance and efficiency. And we have, as Jim had mentioned, we've labeled a number of products, but we always look at our products in terms of their efficiency and performance, and then we also look at them in terms of how they impact the building where they're working. And then we're working with our manufacturers to just try and make sure that we're ahead of the game, we're getting our products into rating systems, or they're at least discussing our products and rating systems and codes the way we intend for those products to be used in the rating system. Is that enough?
Yeah, that's no, that's fine. I was listening so intently that I didn't know that you were done. The whole product certification world is a universe unto itself, and bringing life cycle analysis into multiple attribute certifications is something that a lot of people are starting to try and look at, manufacturers especially, but it's a tough one to tackle more than your focus attribute. So Doug, I would like to continue in terms of, where do you see, give us a perspective of your involvement and your organization's involvement and where you see us heading.
I think what's most exciting is seeing continued diversity, seeing different disciplines interacting with each other. As a water utility, there historically had not been a lot of outreach between the water agencies, other government regulators, plumbing professionals. There's just so many different disciplines that are really required to string together this chain that gets us to where we need to be going in resource management. We created a program some time back called Water Smart Home, and I guess what's exciting for me is it actually has linkages to a lot of the people that are sitting up here in the industries and the parts of that chain in that process. But I think what we're seeing is a much more dynamic environment where we can all work together. We're not always completely aligned with each other, but once upon a time, the people in your industry and the people in my industry actually worked in independent camps, coming to completely separate conclusions, and then went to war with each other on Capitol Hill. And that was not a good way to do things. The conservation people thought they knew what they wanted for water efficiency. The plumbing people thought they knew what they needed from an engineering standpoint. The two didn't always align. People went, swords were drawn, blood would flow, and somebody would win. And I know with the first low-flow toilets, the winners were the conservation people. The losers were the people who got the first low-flow toilets. So they didn't work very well. We spent a whole lot more time fighting with each other than actually finding common ground and coming up with something that would work. That's what's so exciting about WaterSense. So exciting about being able to be at an event like this and working with other industries is where, sometimes I might see it this way and someone else sees it here, and the answer lies somewhere in between when we can connect and say, we both agree on this. Things happen much more quickly, much more efficiently.
So is this accelerating? I mean, are you seeing coming together in a more rapid way?
Well, it has to accelerate because the challenges we're faced with are accelerating. We're basically have been living on very much a credit card mentality of a lot of resources. And the bills are coming due right now. We're in pretty dire situation in a lot of different places. Who would have thought, Nevada is certainly one of those places you would expect. We had 1.6 inches of rainfall all of last year, 1.6 inches. We're very fast growing, we're a very large community in a very dry desert, but those challenges are not limited to the arid regions anymore. They're in places that normally get 45 inches of rainfall that are suddenly getting 25 inches of rainfall. That's a crisis. From my perspective, I'm going, hey, 25 inches of rainfall, that's enormous, but it's when there's a change in what the expected norm is that you have a crisis. A court decision can create a crisis. Recently a dispute between an irrigation district and a tribe completely turned the water supply on its head. An issue related to an endangered species, the Delta smelt, didn't mean that there wasn't water available from Northern California for Southern California. It meant that it couldn't be delivered the way they were used to it being delivered. It created a water shortage. So there are all kinds of things in our environment, some of them piled up over decades of perhaps not the best management of the resource, the best decisions, and some that can drop in a single decision or a single year's hydrology. So it's important that we move just as quickly and effectively as we can to try and get these solutions out into the field.
All right, thank you. So Ken, how, as one of the leading production home builders in the country and one of the more innovative ones, could you describe what KB Home's programs are and efforts and kind of like some of the evolution and where you see yourself headed?